Hey guys, so in this video it's really short and I'm giving I think 3 examples of how I took a few different images. Out here I went and did some sunflowers. Really awesome time of year to get outside and get some really cool sunflower photos in. In California right now, between now, which is June, the last part of June, actually the end of June, and July is a really good time to go out and just get out there and see all these really cool sunflowers and bees and butterflies, and it's just really pretty. And so I wanted to take that experience, something that I normally do, and just invite you guys along and let you see how I get a few different types of image. Whether I'm spraying a sunflower with a little bit of water and doing a little focus stacking, or I'm doing some just simple natural light with a diffuser. I really want you guys to see that diffuser, because if there's nothing else that you ever buy for your camera, as far as gear, get a diffuser. And you're going to see in this video why it's so important and what a dramatic effect the diffuser has on your photos. And so I did that. I showed some focus stacking. I showed some pictures with a diffuser and without a diffuser, so you can see the effect that it has. And then I did a little high-speed sync. And that's a high-speed sync is a really neat way to, you see it a lot of times, they're doing it with models and things like that, but it's a really neat way to get some separation for your subject. And in this example here that I show you in this video, I've got a whole field of sunflowers, and there's one poking up, and I make that one sunflower stand out against an entire field of sunflowers by using high-speed sync. It's really a cool trick to be able to do. It's really a neat way to be able to create some separation in your photo and pull your subject out and make everything else just kind of fade off into a soft dimmer blur, and it's pretty cool. You'll see some examples of that. So there's really 3 examples that I'm sharing with you in this video, and it's just it was a really nice time sitting out there doing some sunflower photos. I got some really cool images. Stick around to the end and I'll show you. Oh, heck no, I'll just post a couple here. 1, 2. I never can wait to the end. So I hope you guys do stick around to the end, because I'll post them all at the end too, and you can see them on my website, insightfulimagery.com. Go on my website, check out all the cool images and different things that t-shirts and mugs and my toy photography stuff, prints for your wall, just all kinds of really cool images. Even if you don't buy nothing, just go check out my website. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Posting stuff all the time. Hopefully you can take away a few cool new ideas, maybe some motivation from my photos and from my videos. But anyway, like and subscribe. We'll see you guys later. Let's watch the video. So what I'm doing here is I'm close to my flower. I'm going to cover my lens. I'm going to spray a little bit of water on there. I've got my composition already set. I'm in manual focus. I'm going to go into live view. And since I'm going to focus stack this because I'm really close with a macro lens, I'm going to start my focus to the very inside of the flower. And I'm going to work my way out. So I'm not going to tell you my settings, because honestly your settings are going to be different. Just be in manual mode, ISO 100 if you can. And so I've got my focus locked in to the most inner part of that flower. I'm going to take a shot. Okay, 0885. Now I'm going to roll my focus a little bit further out. This will be 3 shots. Okay, I'm going to roll my focus to the next set of water drops. And there's a little bit of a breeze, so you got to kind of time this in between gusts of breeze. Okay. take that next shot. There we go. 0886. Now I'm going to go back to live view, and I'm going to roll my focus to the furthest point, to the closest point toward the camera. Okay. And if you're like me, you need glasses. Okay, so we got that. Okay, now I'm going to fire that off. There we go. So that's 3 shots, 0887, and I'll put the edited one. I'm going to take these into Photoshop, and I'm going to open them as layers and align the layers, and then I'm going to... Shot 1 was here. You can see the innermost part of the flower. I've got my focus right there where it's circled, and everything else getting closer toward the camera lens is blurry. You can see a little soft transition area in there, and then the petals closest to the front of the lens are blurry. Here it's just the opposite. The innermost part is blurry, and it becomes sharp on the petals closest toward the front of the lens. This is actually the 3rd shot in that sequence. Here's the final processed image where I take all 3 of those shots into Photoshop, I align them and I layer mask them, and I get a nice sharp area from the first shot to the part of the petals closest to the camera lens. Is the difference between direct sunlight hitting the sunflower and sunlight passing through a diffuser hitting the sunflower. There's a big difference in quality of light. And I want to show you the benefit of having one of these nice diffusers to use, and they're not expensive. I'll link it in the description down below in the beginning of the video, and you can pick one of these up, and it's really going to change the quality of light hitting your subject, and I'll give you those examples here. So the first one I'm going to show is without the diffuser, and the second one I'll show is with the diffuser. So here I've got the camera focused already on the part of the sunflower that I want. I've got it set on timer mode. I've already pre-focused in live view, and the reason I focus in live view is because my AF points don't always line up with where I want the sharpest part of the image to be, so I just focus in manual mode, and I'm using a tripod. So this first one I'm going to do, I'm going to take the exposure, and that's image 0909 without the diffuser. So here's that image, and you might say, yikes, it looks harsh and crap and blown out. And it is harsh. There's no diffuser here. Look at my settings, ISO 100, f11, 1/100th of a second. Okay, this is just natural, unmodified, direct sunlight coming from behind me, falling onto the flower. There's nothing flattering about this image at all. Okay, but we're going to take in the next shot, put a diffuser up, and we're going to use the same exact settings. The camera does not move, and I'm going to put that light modifier in between the sun and the flower, and you're going to see an entirely different image and a lot more detail in the flower itself. Okay, here we go. I'm going to open the diffuser up. Okay, put it between me and the subject. Take the shot again. And that's 0910. Now look at this. Image on the left is the one that has the diffuser. Image on the right is the original one where we didn't use the diffuser. But look at the incredible amount of detail that's in the shot. The soft lighting, it's lower. There is some light loss as the sunlight passes through the modifier and hits the flower. You can increase or decrease that effect by putting the modifier closer to or further away from the flower. But the settings are exactly the same. F11, ISO 100, 1/100th of a second. The only difference is I put the modifier between the sunlight and the flower. Okay. Now I'm going to do a bracketed set of 3 with the diffuser. Look at this image here. Awesome. It's a bracketed set of 3, 1 over, 1 under, 1 normal, and then I create a little bit of an HDR type effect in there, and it's an awesome image. This is what we started with. Look at that harsh, direct, blasting golden sunlight. And then we put the modifier in there, and we got this nice, soft, detailed image with that sunlight. We ended up taking a bracketed set of 3 shots, creating a little bit of an HDR effect in there, some sharpening, some contrast, a few different little post-process things I did. But if you haven't got a diffuser, you need to get one. I'll link it in the description down below. But anyway, look, let's go back to this image, the second shot that I did, the one with the diffuser between the sunlight and the flower. If you don't know any post-processing, you don't know any Photoshop, anything like that, just having a diffuser on hand to change the quality of light falling on your subject, you're going to come out miles ahead. You're going to come out with something that you're going to be super happy with. It's super keepable. And you can share this image and people are going to love it. And this image hasn't seen any post-processing at all. This is a right out of the camera image. Okay, so if you haven't got a diffuser, get one. What I want to do here is something called high-speed sync, and I want to use a shallow depth of field, but it's bright out. So I have to get a really fast shutter speed in order to do that. That will make the background go darker, and my flower will be lit by my flash. And the first thing I want to do when doing this is I want to get an ambient meter reading of the entire scene, and then I want to underexpose that by, you know, like in this case maybe 1 stop. We'll see what it looks like. So ambient meter reading on this at f4 is what I want to use. So f4, it's saying right now about 1/1600th of a second. So let's take a shot at 1/1600th of a second and see, let me mark my frame, and see at 1/1600th of a second if I get a proper exposure at f4. I used 10-second timer by accident, but it's okay. Okay, here we go. Let me take the timer off. Just put it on 2-second timer. See if we get a proper exposure at 1/1600th of a second at f4. Histogram and everything looks good. That's image 0929. You can also use a light meter, which I have in my Jeep, but I just didn't bring it out, so I'm using the camera's meter. Center weighted average, and just test my exposure. So 1/1600th at f4, ISO 100. So now what I want to do is I want to underexpose that by a stop. So instead of 1/1600th of a second, remember shutter speed controls the ambient, so I want to go up to perhaps 1/3200th of a second. So let me set my time. Let me go over here to my shutter speed, and we'll do 1/3200th of a second. I'm going to take a shot of that, and it should be underexposed. Okay, and it is. That's image 0930. I might go a little bit more. Let's go a little bit faster on the shutter speed. Let's go to 1/4000th of a second. Okay, one more. We'll go to 1/5000th and we'll be good. I just want the scene a little bit darker in the back. And I think that's going to be good right there. 0932. So now what I want to do is I want to set my flash up, and I want to get f4, a proper exposure for f4. Turn on, and I'll put this flash, I'll put this light unit, a link to the in the description below if you think it's something you want to buy. So let me turn my flash on. And I'm just going to hand hold this. Okay, so my flash is on. I got a grid and just a standard 7-inch reflector. And take a look and see what we got. Let me go over here to let me go over here to my timer, and we'll do 10-second timer. That gives me time to run over there and get in position. Make sure we're firing. Yeah, we're firing. We're at 132, 132nd. I believe we're going to have to go up a little bit higher than that. Let's start out at 1/8. Okay. Okay. Right now it's a matter of finding where you want to stand and just remembering it. And I'm doing side lighting because that brings out the texture in the sunflower with a shallow depth of field to blur out the background. That's why I'm doing this. Man, 0933, do I really like that's a nice shot. Yeah, that's a super nice shot. Let's do another one. I think I would like to do another one with the light a little further back. And this grid helps keep light from spreading beyond the flower that I want to shoot. It's allowing me to just keep the light spill to a minimum, and the light is just being focused right on the flower. You can see in that image how there's a nice soft background. And actually, let me post the image before. Oh, I did post the image before. You can see in that how the entire image is dark, a lot darker. But in this image here, 0933, the flower is lit and everything in the back is soft and a little bit darker. Before we move on to the next example, I just want to reiterate, because I said a lot of stuff and did a lot of stuff in this last little segment of video, but I want to break it down to 3 simple steps. Okay, you get your proper exposure, then you underexpose that by 2 stops or however dark you want the image. Then you set your flash up to light the subject back at the proper exposure. That's it. And what that does is it creates a bit of separation by the background going dark and the subject staying bright. And it creates some subject and allows you to get a shallow depth of field so that the background goes blurry, also giving you more separation on your subject. It's real easy. Proper exposure, underexpose, and then a proper exposure by using the flash on your subject. Let's move on. I've got a nice single sunflower poking up over the entire field. So I've got my camera set up, I've got my flower there in the distance, and I've got this field behind. You get your you get your proper exposure based on the ambient light. Then whatever shutter speed it gives you, you make the shutter speed faster by 1 or 2 or however many stops you want to do, and then you take the picture with the flash on the subject, and the subject comes out exposed, and the other stuff falls a little bit into darkness. I'll show you. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to turn my flash on, and turn the flash on over here, and I've got a grid and a reflector, same as I had in the last one. Okay. Got that aiming at my subject. We're going to make sure this is on timer mode. I'm not sure why that went to 1/5000th of a second. We're going to fire this off. The flash should fire. There it went. I heard the beep. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the flower. 0967, we're going to look at this image. Man, that's really cool. Really cool. So my subject is lit, like you can see. And the other images, the other part of the images fall off into darkness. And that helps with that really bright sky in the background.